Ms. Graves, you state your marriage is on the rocks and on the brink of divorce.
Yes, ma'am.
You're suing your husband, Mr. Baker, for a paternity test to prove that he's your 19-year-old daughter, Voneisha's biological father. You claim you're hoping this DNA test will fix your family. Mr. Baker, you claim you're not the father because your wife admitted that not one, but two other men could possibly be Voneisha's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Graves, so how is your marriage in turmoil exactly?
I've been dealing with him for 22 years now. When we got together this last time, I feel like he kind of punishing me and my daughter. You know,
Punishing you how?
Like the way he treats us. You know, I mean, he's not the man that he should be for the family.
What is he punishing you for?
We had a DNA for my first daughter. It was 22 years ago, and he took care of her for a whole year. And I was always honest. I always told him there was a possibility for her as well. Oh, well, you know, I was loose back then, you know, it is what it is.
So you feel like that's our problem?
Well, wait a minute. To take me back to the story, you're saying 22 years ago you had a daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And for a year he thought it was his biological daughter.
Yes.
But you were honest that it may or may not be. Ultimately, you had a DNA test and it was determined that in fact he was not the biological father of your older daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is the reason why you believe he has doubt concerning your daughter, Voneisha.
Correct.
And part of the reason why you believe he's trying to punish you both?
I mean, I'm pretty sure he was hurt from the first results, you know.
So you mean tough love is like punishing you?
You don't just come off showing tough love to a child
But if that's
that
all
you
I
really
know,
don't know anything
that's all
about.
I know, Ms. Graves. I never had a father. I really don't know how to love, you understand? So,
Well,
I mean, if that's what
that's
I
not my
know, I mean,
fault.
I understand that, and that's your problem. You're not trying to understand your fault. I'm not saying it's your fault.
Well, I'd like to understand it a little more. Explain, how does he treat your daughter? Why are you saying, what is this tough love you're talking?
He's saying tough love, but he cusses her. I mean, he's rude.
Mr. Baker, why are you cursing a 19-year-old girl? What is this behavior?
I mean, verbal words come out due to the fact that, you know, hey, she felt like I hurt her. So, you
Well,
know,
he does me the same
So
way.
what I'm
That's
trying to
the
understand
problem.
is, Ms. Graves, you believe this treatment, the way that he interacts with your daughter is based upon his doubt?
Yes. Our marriage is having problems. Just like he stated before, he doesn't know how to love. Well, that's a problem. Why did you marry me if you didn't know how to love? You should have got yourself together and then came to me.
So you're blaming me, right?
Yes, my family is a package deal. You
So
knew
you
that,
blaming me?
if father or not. Though these are my children. When you came into my life, you came into their life. You know, you treat them as your children, your
See, that's the
stepchildren.
problem. We're constantly blaming. If we can get out of the vocal of not just blaming one person and understanding there's two for
I want to
marriage,
understand
not
as
one.
well. You two have been in a relationship for almost 22 years.
No.
No, ma'am.
We've been dealing with each other for 22 years.
No, ma'am.
Okay, I think that's what I meant, but
Yeah.
thank you for the clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I appreciate that. But what I want to make clear is you were not married until later on.
Yes, ma'am.
How long ago did you get married?
4 years.
2011.
Okay, and you have always told him he's Voneisha's father.
Well, when she was 5,
I mean, I made
went to
mistakes,
him.
though.
I went to him to his mother's house, and I said, Michael, I seen some resemblance. So I went to him and I said, Michael, Mr. Baker, I think we need to do a paternity test.
But do looks
And
always count?
He
Do looks always
cursed me
count?
out and belittled me in front
Oh,
of
my.
many of people,
Oh, my.
and said he
Oh,
didn't
my.
even have sex with me around that time.
Oh, my. Because a memory is a thing that gets lost every once in a while. You understand? I mean, you were with other guys at the time. I was with other people. So
It didn't
you just
matter.
Can't just say
You were a
basically-
possibility,
just
so you should have
basically
said
can't say
okay
that
and went
this
on
was
with
meant.
it.
All
But
right,
Mr.
okay.
We
Baker,
wouldn't be
do you
here today.
Do you remember this instance when you were on and off? At some point, she came to you and said, I think Voneisha is your daughter. Do
I
you
don't
remember that?
I don't remember as far as like, you know, just saying.
You don't remember
basically
cussing me out in front of your mom
in front of my mom?
and your sister and her
front of my
friends?
sister?
Yes,
No.
yes.
You don't remember that, sir?
I mean, I might have did it. I'm not gonna say I didn't.
He
I did it,
remember.
but I'm not gonna
See,
say I
that's the
remember,
problem.
Your Honor. Because for the simple fact is, if we've already been this way, why wouldn't you come to me and say, let's have a paternity test if it was like that? You understand? Instead
Do you
of just saying,
remember you asked to have a paternity
no,
test?
I don't remember that. I don't
As it relates to Voneisha?
No, ma'am.
19
Yes.
years old, and a lot has happened since she was 5.
Yes.
You obviously continued to discuss paternity. Ms. Graves, you told him he was her father. Did you ever accept that
She never
fact?
told me I was her father. She's never said that I was her father.
Okay,
You've
but
never
what about when she was 10?
When she was 10,
And we were together,
Okay.
and she was calling you
You
daddy.
told me that she was my father. I was
No,
her father.
you told me
You
that
told
she
me that.
looked like you.
Okay,
It was
I said that.
Okay.
I know I said
okay,
that.
then.
But I didn't say,
so he
did
been
you say
knowing
that I
it.
was her father? I mean, you know, when you see a child and you look at a child, you look at him and you be like, okay, well, it could be because of the possibility that we were having sex.
Okay, so the
You understand?
possibility should have let you know that it was time to stand up and step up and try to get a DNA long before now.
You're right. I mean, you're right. I mean, I make mistakes. I'm human. You understand? So, I mean, you got to realize that at the same time, I was hurt from the first time.
Mistake after mistake after mistake has led us here. I mean, we're separated right now. I went to my mom's house for 2 weeks just to clear my mind. I have terminal cancer. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't even know how to treat me with that. He's not compassionate. He cussed me out. You know, I'm doing chemo, and right before I do the chemo, we're arguing, and my blood pressure shot
So it's
through the
basically
roof.
a blame on me, though.
Yes.
Blame me, blame me, blame me.
Mr. Baker.
Where's your compassion?
Mr. Baker.
Yes.
I'm your wife.
Baker. You married this woman 4 years ago
Yes,
after
ma'am.
22 years of on and off involvement.
Yes, ma'am.
Now she's dealing with a very serious medical situation.
Yes, Your Honor.
Surely you understand
I do. I mean, I really
that
do.
arguing and getting her upset doesn't do anything for her health, for her care. You understand that,
Yes,
right?
I do.
And so this situation is very important, not just to her, but Voneisha.
But at the same time, when you have doubts because there are other people involved, you know, 1, 2, come on now, you know.
Well, that's what I want to hear, because when you talking thus far,
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest, you getting on my last nerve.
I'm sorry.
Because you, no,
I'm sorry, Your
you're
Honor.
not.
I'm sorry.
It's like you're
I'm
not
sorry.
taking it seriously. It's too much
sorry.
smiling and acting like
I mean,
what she's
I wasn't
saying
smiling as far as
doesn't
it was.
matter.
It was,
no.
it was
Let me.
critical.
You're not gonna out-talk me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
What I'm saying to you is your response to your wife, even if you disagreed, there was a level of disrespect woven in your body language and the way you responded.
Yes.
Even if you don't agree, I'm gonna give you your chance to say what your side of the story is. But now that you're talking, I see a level of sincerity that I need to see.
Yes.
Because there's a child here that needs to know who her father is.
Yes, Your Honor. And that's the reason
And
we're
when
here.
you start talking about your doubt, quite frankly, I do understand where at least a part of it comes from, because this has happened to you before with the same woman.
Yes.
Talk to me about your doubt. What are your doubts specifically as
Like
it
I
relates
say,
to her?
it's not just me, it's 2 other guys, you know. And the timing, yeah, you might say that we were here and there, but at the same time, the timing, it could match up and it could not match up.
The 2 other men, how did you find out about these
I mean,
2
she
other
told
men?
me about them. Miss Graves told me about
What
them.
did she tell you?
She said that it could be a possibility that 2 other guys that she's involved with could be the father of Miss Carroll. And I was like,
And
you
so,
know,
Ms. Graves, you did admit to him that there were 2 other potential fathers.
Yes, ma'am.
So as you tell him to step up and get the DNA test, did you ever test any of the other men?
No.
So why do you know for sure he's the father?
Back then, when it was a
Back then
Halloween.
when?
It was a Halloween party.
we say Halloween. How are you gonna just say Halloween and you were involved with other men? So you're gonna put
I know
Halloween
when it was.
specifically?
You don't know when the party
I'm just
was.
saying, but
I
you're
know.
All right,
specifically
Mr.
saying
Baker,
Halloween.
I want to hear her story. I want to understand her explanation. Go ahead, ma'am.
Halloween, we ended up hooking up, you know. So I was still dealing with him because he was my baby's father from the previous child. I have evidence here.
I'd like to
Your
see
Honor.
that evidence. What is that specifically, ma'am?
It's the conception date.
The window of conception.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what you presented here, a conception calendar?
Yes, ma'am.
This is like one of these apps where you can calculate a conception date.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
Talk me through this. Voneisha's birth date is what?
July 28th, 95.
So when you put in her birth date, July 28th, 1995, and you press calculate.
Yes, ma'am.
It gave you dates of conception of October 31st through November 8th, 1994, meaning that was during the time of Halloween.
Yes, ma'am.
Where you were intimate with Mr. Baker.
I was honest. I didn't just tell him. I told the other guys too. I've always been honest about it. Don't make it better,
Were you intimate with the other men during this window,
Yes,
this
ma'am.
8 days?
Yes, ma'am.
So why is it that you feel Mr. Baker is more likely her biological father if you were intimate with the other men during the same window?
Well, Your Honor, like I said, it was because of the conception and then the resemblance. You know, when she was 10 years old, we got back into a relationship. At that time, he started seeing things. Look at her eyes, look at her nose, look at her, you know, it was always her walk, the way she walked and all of that. It was always something. Lanky, she lanky, tall and lanky. Just like me. She lied just like my mama.
They say that all the time.
It's always something.
As far as
He's
like
always
looks and
throwing it
stuff.
up like he knows she is, but then he don't put it together
It's because
and act
like
on
you
it.
say, at
DNA
the same
tells it
time,
all, so that's why
when
we're
you
here.
have this in your mind as far as like, what if she's not yours? You finna go through it again. Are you ready for it?
So
You know?
ultimately, your marriage is on the line because of this.
Being, you know, feeling like the other one is right or wrong. You know, things
Whether
that
you
happen
want
in
to,
the past.
however you want to look at it, it's from the past. Me hurting him hurting me, or whatever. But it's time to get past that. You know,
Exactly.
I'm trying to do this for her.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's not about him. It's not about me. You know, I want to make sure before I leave this world that she knows I don't want her to be punished for something that I did in the past. That's my past. I'm trying to get it right for her now, you know? And,
So then
and
why-
if our marriage can be fixed, you know, if he can stop thinking about the past and move forward where I can be happy before I leave this world. She has to watch me suffer, you know? And then when it comes to my kid, you can mess with me, but when you come to my kid, that's my child.
I mean, I love her, just like I love you.
You don't know how to love, remember?
Exactly.
I wish you all would have had this much conversation.
And that's our
I
problem.
tried.
We got a big problem with communicating.
You've got a young girl here, and Mom, you're worried about her future.
Yes, ma'am.
You are dealing with something very serious. You want to know that your daughter is going to be okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
I think I want to hear from Voneisha. Voneisha, please stand up. Voneisha, I have to ask you, and you take your time, baby. I know this is very difficult. Do you believe in your heart Mr. Baker is your biological father?
I don't really know how to answer that because it's very confusing.
I understand.
Hearing that I look like his family, hearing that I look like someone else's family, it just, I don't know. I just want to know.
You're hearing it all the time, that you look like his family. Then somebody else said you look like somebody else's family. Voneisha, how is your relationship with Mr. Baker? What is it like?
Well, Your Honor, we have a love-hate relationship. 1 minute he's mean, 1 minute he loves me. We're not always on the same page. Most of the time we're bumping heads and arguing.
I don't know how long I have left here, but I want her to be okay when I'm gone. You know, that's why I'm trying to find out. I'm trying to do what I have to do. You know, so I know that she's okay, that she can get the love, you know, from another parent when I'm gone.
And that's why this is so important.
Yes, ma'am.
I think the only way we can move forward is to just get the results. Are we ready? These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Graves, Carroll versus Baker, when it comes to 19-year-old Voneisha Carroll, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Baker, you are not her father.
You're my daughter no matter what. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all.
I just want to... I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
I would say a few words that I hope would help a family that's in your position and any family that comes into this courtroom. Help them move forward, because that's what this is about. But I could not have said it better than what you just said to your family. That was love. Ms. Delaney, you are joined today by your mother, and you both claim that you were a virgin when you met the defendant's late son, David Hairston Jr. However, you have opened a case today to prove to his family that he fathered your 16-month-old daughter, Joya. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Parrett, you are here with your daughter, and you both claim that you never heard about your son's relationship with the plaintiff. You believe the plaintiff is motivated by money, and you refuse to accept her child until the results prove that Mr. Hairston is the biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Delaney, I'll start with you. You say you were inexperienced,
Yes, Your Honor.
but you are certain Mr. Hairston is your child's biological father?
1,000% certain.
1,000,000%.
I
know
so,
he's the
no,
father
Your
of
Honor.
my granddaughter,
No.
Joya. Yes, he is.
I do not believe it, Your Honor, because he would have told me something of her. He always talked to me. He would have let me know that he was in a relationship with her if he was.
I disagree, Your Honor. I think that he did not speak on it because of the age difference.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because I've been in his company while he's been on the phone talking to his mother.
He's older than me, so he was trying to cover this whole relationship up.
Oh, so Ms. Delaney, you were dating a man who was older than your mother.
Yes,
Yes.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Well, that's
And you believe he was
I
trying to
object to
cover
that.
that up, which is why he never talked about it to his mother.
Yes.
Yes.
But when a child gets involved, wouldn't you think that he would talk about that
You would think
or
that
share
he
it
would.
with his family?
You would think that he would.
But you say you've never heard anything
never
about
heard. Never heard of
All right, so
living
I
with
want to
someone
understand the
else.
nature of this relationship. Ms. Delaney, tell me, how did you meet Mr. Hairston?
I was walking home where I was living with my mom, and he stopped me and approached me. From there, we met like 30 minutes later, and we went to a mutual friend's house, and then we talked and got to know each other then.
And did he know you were a virgin?
He did.
So you had told him.
I did.
So take me to this day where you lost your virginity to a man who's older than your mother.
We went to a hotel, and then I didn't want to pay for it. He didn't want to pay for it. So we went to...
That's the truth.
Wait. On what day do you lose your virginity and have to pay for the hotel room? What is going on here? So you got to the hotel, he thought you was gonna pay.
Yes.
Ain't that nothing?
Yeah.
Okay, so you say, no, I'm not paying for this hotel.
Correct.
And he says, I'm not paying either.
Correct.
So what happens?
We then went to the mutual friend's house.
Oh.
And then that's where it took place. He had candles. We did get candles. We did get
Whipped
candles.
cream and all, Your Honor. She told me they had whipped cream. I'm like, oh, you went all out, huh? How was it?
I wish
Oh
you
my
would have
God.
told her you were gonna go to this hotel with this old man
Yes,
before
yes.
you
I
were gonna
wish
go
too.
so she could tell you don't go.
You would not have been here today.
But was this the night you believe you conceived?
No.
No. Okay, so when do you believe you conceived? How long were you all in this boyfriend and girlfriend sexual relationship?
About 4 months in.
And so in 4 months, Miss Parrett, Miss Baylor, 4 months, he's having a sexual relationship with this young woman. You don't know anything about
Nothing.
her.
We never knew he had side things going on. We knew my brother, but we never knew a name, or he would call them different names. Like, I'm with PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Country, LL. There's a variety.
LL?
Yeah.
That ain't me. That ain't me. So take me to the day, Miss Delaney, you find out you're pregnant.
I missed my menstrual cycle but the only reason I knew is because my menstrual comes on the day before my best friend. And she came and asked me for feminine products. And I asked her, why you need that? And she said, because my period is on. And I said, well, mine's not on. She said, well, because you pregnant.
And Your Honor, I said, something's going on, because I just had pink salmon, and I love it, but it made me sick to my stomach. I have 2 other daughters, and I was like, one of y'all pregnant, so go get tested. They went, got tested, it was none of them. Come to find out, it was Courtney. So I'm like, okay, Courtney, the fun's over now. I'm about to have a grandbaby. What's happening?
Oh, because you ate that salmon when it made you sick. You knew something was happening.
I knew something was wrong. I knew, Your Honor.
And was he the only man? I mean, I have to ask you this, Miss Delaney. I mean, you say you lost your virginity to Mr. Hairston, and I get that. But that does not preclude you from being in a sexual relationship with somebody else.
That precludes me because when I'm in a relationship with somebody, I'm in a relationship with that one person, not nobody else.
And so to keep her, Judge, that's why I think he got her in that hotel. He moved her in.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. It is your testimony that once you had sex with Mr. Hairston, and that was the first man you've ever had sex with, you did not have sex with anybody else during that time when you were intimate with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
So it is your testimony that during the window of conception, you were only intimate with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and at some point, your mom's testified you moved into a hotel together.
We did.
While you were pregnant?
This was before, while I was.
Was he staying there with you? Were you in a relationship? How involved was he with you during this pregnancy?
He was involved to about a 50-50 extent.
Explain.
He wouldn't go to doctor's appointments.
Was he there when Joya was born at the hospital?
No, I don't think so.
He wouldn't even sign the birth certificate, Your Honor.
That's
because he did not know. His child. He said it was his child.
He never told us. He might have told y'all whatever he had to say to pacify. Oh, I mean, sorry, you, because the mother claimed she didn't know him.
Correct.
Because I did not, right. I know of him. All I know was his first name, and I've seen him sneak, and he would change vehicles, come in different cars, pick her up. She'd have to meet him to the mailbox from where we lived. Different stuff. I've seen him in passing, but never met him.
But why was it in passing? I mean, you the mother, when he was pulling up and your daughter's waiting by the mailbox, you know this doesn't look right. And your daughter is 21 years old?
Yes, at the time,
But
Your
you
Honor.
don't feel like you need to ask any questions?
You got
Well,
that's
after
right.
this point, Your Honor. Yeah.
She asked questions. My answer was just, I didn't answer. I never said anything to her about it because I know my mom, and if I would have told her his age, that would have been the first question. How old is he?
Right, I knew of him, but not the age at that time. But when I found out about the age after this, I said, that don't look good in the community, and you know your mother's a Christian, so you got to end this. So my daughter moved back home. So after that, and she was gonna do the right thing, he wasn't gonna step up ordinarily because he didn't go to any appointments. I was taking care of her the whole time during this pregnancy after about 5 months.
After Joya was born, did he develop any type of relationship with her?
He said that he believes that this is his daughter. He never denied her being his daughter. He thinks that she looks like him. He called her stinky feet.
And so you felt like the interaction was what you would see from a man who believed he was the father of the child. Like he felt like he came in and treated your daughter like she was his?
I did. I felt like that.
But how do we get it to the DNA part?
Because I told him that he needed to be a father, and he was not doing that. So I went and got assistance from the government. And in order for me to get assistance, I had to comply with child support.
And I convinced my daughter, Your Honor, to go ahead and put him on child support because mother to mother, I mean, your mother, I mean, how'd you raise your son? I didn't raise my daughter like this. This was just, I guess, a
what? Hold on now. Like what?
Like, you know, to treat women the way he was treating women. Apparently, it was more than just my daughter. That's why he was hiding. It wasn't just a baby.
One at a time, one at a time.
My brother said it was not his, and
What did he tell you about this child?
He said before he passed, he had a court date scheduled. He said, I have to go to court to see if this baby is mine. And that's all.
We went to the first court date. He passed away when he was supposed to come to the paternity testing court date.
And so, Ms. Delaney, after finding out he had passed away, how were you able to connect with his family?
I found out that the funeral home that they had whatever they had I contacted them. And then I left my information and she called me back.
And what was that conversation like? What happened?
She explained to me that they were supposed to go to court and that he didn't make it to court, and that she was told that he was, had passed away. And was that true? I told her yes. And she told me that she didn't believe me. That was my child. I'm not gonna lie to you. If he's not here anymore, he's not here. So that left me hurt inside right there,
Because you felt like, Ms. Delaney, he was saying all of this, he was pretending to be dead to avoid child support?
At first, yes, Your Honor, that is what I thought. Because it was just so weird how you come to one court date and then you never deny that she's yours, and they tell you to come for paternity testing, and then we have a conversation, and then next thing I know, you're dead. You had no health problems. How are you dead?
I mean, it was a shock for us also, and I mean, the bottom line of it is that we just need to know, because this is what he told us, is that he needed a DNA test.
Yes, and he wasn't sure.
That's the only way.
And he wasn't sure, so he wasn't sure, so I have to believe what he told me, because I want to be sure. So this is the whole thing. We want to be sure that the baby is his baby.
And your granddaughter, yes, definitely.
Yes.
Like, why does she have to keep calling the baby? Her name is Joya.
Okay.
Well, I just really found...
We don't know.
You know her name.
Relationship.
You know her name. We text, we talk. You know her name is Joya. Stop responding to my child as the baby.
One thing about it is...
She has a name. I've sent you pictures of her. You have all these things. So don't respond to her or refer to her as the baby. She is a human being with a name, and it's Joya.
And I'm very sorry for your loss. I said that when I first met you, but I'm truly sorry, because I wish I had gotten to know my granddaughter's father. Now she'll never know, I never know. I'm just sorry this all had to come down to this, But now it's about the baby, and we want to do the right down.
Your mom just said it. The baby. Okay? Your mom just said the baby. Her name is Joya, so I'm okay.
It's about Joya.
It's all about Joya.
Okay.
It really is.
Okay, it is.
It really is.
Okay.
This is why paternity issues, they really are, they're hurtful and they're confusing, and they create a lens through which we see everything. What Ms. Delaney was feeling as a mother is, it's just that, I think it's that mama bear thing. You are a young girl. But at the same time, it's my baby's worthy. She has a name. So I don't want to make you all wait any further. We do have the results, and I think we're ready for them.
We're ready.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. Because there wasn't a blood card available to test the DNA of the deceased, we performed a DNA test with his surviving parent. The results will determine if there is a viable relationship between the child and the mother of the deceased, Almenia Parrett. In the case of Delaney versus Parrett, when it comes to 16-month-old Joya Delaney, it has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Almenia Parrett and Joya Delaney is 0.001%. 0.00%. You are not related.
That is not true.
That's
I don't
not
believe
true.
that. I don't believe that.
I disagree.
That's okay, Mom.
I disagree.
It's okay. That's what we came here for.
Miss Delaney, I'm concerned that as a young woman, you have not gotten yourself to a place where you truly understand the importance of honoring yourself, knowing your worth. Do you know who her dad is?
I do. He's deceased, and you're asking me to give you a different answer from what I already
No, I'm not
said.
asking you to give you a different answer. I'm just asking you, do you know who her father is? Because it isn't David Hairston Jr.
And again, Your Honor, I disagree with that.
I'm behind my daughter 100%, and I believe if she says he's the father, he's the father. So I'm sticking behind my daughter.
Well, we're
Listen.
sticking behind the DNA test.